guys, and we have finally reached the last live for the book of Matthew. So, as you guys know, God has placed it on my spirit to read the four gospels of the Bible, starting with Matthew, and we are now going to read together Matthew chapters 26 through 28, which is going to end the book of Matthew. And then moving on this week, we're actually going to start reading together The Power of a Praying Wife by Stormy O'Martian. I think I'm pronouncing her name right. But we're going to start reading this after we get done with the book of Matthew. And then when God places it back on my heart to continue the four gospels of the Bible, we will do so then. So if you guys don't already have your copy, I will place a link to The Power of a Praying Wife so that we can read this all together. So I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you, God, for even placing this on my spirit. And thank you guys for, being with me this far and just being patient with me as I go through this journey. So I know I'm getting on YouTube and I'm sharing these lives with you guys, but this is something that God is moving through me as a transformation in my season. So this is a very vulnerable season for me, and I just appreciate each and every one of you for being a part of it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on Matthew chapter 26. And if you don't catch it on the live today, it's okay. You can always catch it on the replay, you guys, because the message is going to reach who it needs to reach. And I just hope and pray that God is moving in your season. So, whatever it is that you are praying for, I just pray that you are applying the action and being God led during that journey. All right. So, let's get started. So, chapter 26 is titled The Plot to Kill Jesus. When Jesus had finished saying all these things, he told his disciples, "You know that the Passover takes place after 2 days, and the Son of Man will be handed over to be crucified." Then the chief priests and the elders of the people assembled in the courtyard of the high priest, who was named Caiaphas, and they conspired to arrest Jesus in a treacherous way and kill him. "Not during the festival," they said, "so there won't be rioting among the people." While Jesus was in Bethany at the house of Simon the leper, a woman approached him with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume. She poured it on his head as he was reclining at the table. When the disciples saw it, they were indignant. "Why this waste?" they asked. "This might have been sold for a great deal and given to the poor." Aware of this, Jesus said to them, "Why are you bothering this woman? She has done a noble thing for me. You always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me. By pouring this perfume on my body, she has prepared me for burial. Truly I tell you, wherever this gospel is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will also be in memory of her." Then one of the 12, the man called Judas, went to the chief priest and said, "What are you willing to give me if I hand him over to you?" So they weighed out 30 pieces of silver for him. And from that time, he started looking for a good opportunity to betray him. Good morning. Hi, Lily. Good morning. Good morning. You having a good Thursday so far? So this morning, Lily, we are reading Matthew chapter 26, and we are now on verse 17. Thank you so much for liking the live. On the first day of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Where do you want us to make preparations for you to eat the Passover?" "Go into the city to a certain man," he said, "and tell him, 'The teacher says, my time is near. I am celebrating the Passover at your place with my disciples.'" So the disciples did as Jesus had directed them and prepared the Passover. When evening came, he was reclining at the table with the 12. While they were eating, he said, "Truly I tell you, one of you will betray me." Deeply distressed, each one began to say to him, Surely not I, Lord. He replied, The one who dipped his hand with me in the bowl, he will betray me. The Son of Man will go just as it is written about him. But woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been better for him if he had not been born. Judas, his betrayer, replied, Surely not I, Rabbi. You have said it, he told him. As they were eating, Jesus took bread, blessed, and broke it, gave it to the disciples, and said, Take and eat it. This is my body. Then he took a cup, and after giving thanks, he gave it to them and said, Drink from it, all of you, for this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many of the forgiveness of sins. But I tell you, I will not drink from this fruit of the vine from now on until that day when I drink it with you in my Father's kingdom. After singing a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Hi everyone, good morning. What verse was that? Okay, I am now currently on Matthew chapter 26, verse 31. Good morning, hi. Hi Michael, hi Emma. And it's Ayo's channel. Ayo's channel, good morning. All right. So we are now on verse 31, which talks about Peter's denial was predicted. Then Jesus said to them, Tonight all of you will fall away because of me, for it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. But after I have risen, I will go ahead of you to Galilee. Peter told him, Even if everyone falls away because of you, I will never fall away. Truly I tell you, Jesus said to him, Tonight, before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. Even if I have to die with you, Peter told him, I will never deny you. All the disciples said the same thing. The prayer in the garden. Then Jesus came with them to a place called Gethsemane. Okay, we're going to stick with that. As he told the disciples, Sit here while I go over there and pray. Taking along Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, he began to be sorrowful and troubled. He said to them, I am deeply grieved to the point of death. Remain here and stay awake with me. Going a little farther, he fell face down and prayed, My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will. Then he came to the disciples and found them sleeping. He asked Peter, So, couldn't you stay awake with me 1 hour? Stay awake and pray, so that you won't enter into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Again, a second time, he went away and prayed, My Father, if this cannot pass unless I drink it, your will be done. And he came again and found them sleeping, because they could not keep their eyes open. After leaving them, he went away again and prayed a 3rd time, saying the same thing once more. Then he came to the disciples and said to them, Are you still sleeping and resting? See, the time is near. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up, let's go. See, my betrayer is near. I also wanted to add, you guys, that I am reading from the Tony Evans Study Bible. And this is the Christian Standard Bible version. Just in case you wanted to read along, I'm reading from the CSB version. But any Bible that you're reading is just as fine. Thank you guys so much for liking the live. I really appreciate it. Hi, everybody. We are now on verse 47. Judas' betrayal of Jesus. While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, suddenly arrived. A large mob with swords and clubs was with him, from the chief priests and elders of the people. His betrayal had given them a sign. The one I kiss, he is the one. Arrest him. So immediately he went up to Jesus and said, Greetings, Rabbi, and kissed him. Friend, Jesus asked him, Why have you come? Then they came up took hold of Jesus and arrested him. At that moment, one of those with Jesus reached out his hand and drew his sword. He struck the high priest's servant and cut off his ear. Then Jesus told him, "Put your sword back in its place, because all who take up the sword will perish by the sword. Or do you think that I cannot call my Father, and he will prove me here and now with more than 12 legions of angels? How then would the scriptures be fulfilled? But I must say it happened this way." At that time, Jesus said to the crowds, "Have you come out with swords and clubs as if I were a criminal to capture me? Every day I used to sit teaching in the temple, and you didn't arrest me. But all this happened so that the writings of the prophets would be fulfilled." Then all the disciples deserted him and ran away. Those who had arrested Jesus led him away to Cafe. Y'all can't pronounce that. But it's Caiaphas. And I'm going to pronounce that as Caiaphas. Okay? Excuse me on that. The high priest, where the scribes and the elders had convened. Peter was following him at a distance, right to the high priest's courtyard. He went in and was sitting with the servants to see the outcome. The chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin was looking for false testimony against Jesus so that they could put him to death. But they could not find any. Even though many false witnesses came forward, finally 2 who came forward stated, "This man said, I can destroy the temple of God and rebuild it in 3 days." The high priest stood up and said to him, "Don't you have an answer to what these men are testifying against you?" But Jesus kept silent. The high priest said to him, "I charge you under oath by the living God. Tell us if you are the Messiah, the Son of God." "You have said it," Jesus told him. "But I tell you, in the future, you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power and coming on the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest tore his robes and said, "He has blasphemed. Why do we still need witnesses? See, now you have heard blasphemy. What is your decision?" They answered, "He deserves death." Then they spat in his face and beat him. Others slapped him and said, "Prophesy to us, Messiah. Who was it that hit you?" Yeah, I never knew that. I never knew that. I knew they did things to him. I'm going to read that one more time, okay? Because I never knew that. They answered, "He deserves death." Then they spat in his face and beat him. Others slapped him and said, "Prophesy to us, Messiah. Who was it that hit you?" Now Peter was sitting outside in the courtyard. A servant girl approached him and said, "You were with Jesus at the Galilean too." But he denied it in front of everyone. "I don't know what you're talking about." This is when Peter denies the Lord. When he had gone out to the gateway, another woman saw him and told those who were there, "This man was with Jesus, the Nazarene." And again he denied it with an oath, "I don't know this man." After a little while, those standing there approached and said to Peter, "You really are one of them, since even your accent gives you away." Then he started to curse and swear with an oath, "I don't know the man." Immediately a rooster crowed, and Peter remembered the words Jesus had spoken, "Before the rooster crowed, you will deny me 3 times." And he went outside and wept bitterly. Peter denied him 3 times. Chapter 27. When daybreak came, all the chief priests and the elders of the people plotted against Jesus to put him to death. After tying him up, they led him away and handed him over to Pilate, the governor. Judas hangs himself. Then Judas, his betrayer, seeing that Jesus had been condemned, was full of remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders. "I have sinned by betraying innocent blood," he said. "What's that to us?" they said. "See to it yourself." So he threw the silver into the temple and departed. Then he went and hanged himself. The chief priests took the silver and said, "It's not permitted to put it in the temple treasury, since it's blood money. They conferred together and bought the potter's field with it as a burial place for foreigners. Therefore, that field has been called the field of blood to this day. Then what was spoken through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. They took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him whose price was set by the Israelites, and they gave them for the potter's field as the Lord directed me. Jesus faces the governor. Now Jesus stood before the governor. Are you the king of the Jews? The governor asked him. Jesus replied, You say so. While he was being accused by the chief priests and the elders, he didn't answer. Then Pilate said to him, Don't you hear how much they are testifying against you? But he didn't answer him on even one charge, so that the governor was quite amazed. At the festival, the governor's custom was to release the crowd a prisoner they wanted. At that time, they had a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. So when they had gathered together, Pilate said to them, Who is it that you want me to release for you, Barabbas or Jesus, who was called Christ? For he knew it was because envy that they had handed him over. While he was sitting on the judge's bench, his wife sent word to him, Had nothing to do with that righteous man, for today I've suffered terribly in the dream because of him. Good morning, you guys. I am now on Matthew chapter 27 and verse 20. The chief priests and the elders, however, persuaded the crowds to ask for Barabbas and to execute Jesus. The governor asked them, Which of the two do you want me to release for you? Barabbas, they answered. Pilate asked them, What should I do then with Jesus, who was called Christ? They all answered, Crucify him. Then he said, Why? What has he done wrong? But they kept shouting all the more, Crucify him. When Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, but that a riot was starting instead, he took some water, washed his hands in front of the crowd, and said, I am innocent of this man's blood. See it to yourselves. All the people answered, His blood be on us and on our children. Then he released Barabbas to them, and after having Jesus flogged, handed him over to be crucified. Then the governor's soldiers took Jesus into the governor's residence and gathered the whole company around him. They stripped him and dressed him in a scarlet robe. They twisted together a crown of thorns, put it on his head, and placed a staff in his right hand. And they knelt down before him and mocked him. Hail, King of the Jews! Then they spat on him, took the staff, and kept hitting him on the head. After they had mocked him, they stripped him of the robe, put his own clothes on him, and led him away to crucify him. I'll take a sip real quick. Excuse me just a moment. As they were going out, they found a Cyrenian man named Simon. They forced him to carry his cross. When they came to a place called Golgotha, which means place of the skull, they gave him wine mixed with gall to drink. But when he tasted it, he refused to drink. After crucifying him, they divided his clothes by casting lots. Then they sat down and were guarding him there. Above his head, they put up the charge against him in writing, This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. Then the two criminals were crucified with him, one on the right and one on the left. Those who passed by were yelling insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, You who would destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross. In the same way, the chief priests, with the scribes and elders, mocked him and said, He has saved others, but he cannot save himself. He is the King of Israel. Let him come down from now the cross, and we will believe him. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him now, if he takes pleasure in him. For he said, I am the Son of God. In the same way, even the criminals... Hold on. Let me reread that part. Let him come down from now Come down now from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him now, if he takes pleasure in him. For he said, I am the Son of God. In the same way, even the criminals who were crucified with him taunted him. From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over the whole land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani. Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani. That is, my God, why have you abandoned me? When some of those standing there heard this, they said, He's calling for Elijah. Immediately one of them ran and got a sponge, filled it with sour wine, put it on a stick, and handed him a drink. But the rest said, Let's see if Elijah comes to save him. But Jesus cried out again with a loud voice and gave up his spirit. Suddenly the curtain of the sanctuary was torn in two from the top to bottom. The earth quaked, and the rocks were split. The tombs were also opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. And they came out of the tombs after his resurrection, entered the holy city, and appeared to many. When the centurion and those who with him, who were keeping watch over Jesus, saw the earthquake and the things that had happened, they were terrified and said, Truly this man was the Son of God. Many women who had followed Jesus from Galilee and looked after him were there, watching from a distance. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's sons. The burial of Jesus. Verse 57. When it was evening, a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph came. With himself had also become a disciple of Jesus. He approached Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. Then Pilate ordered that it be released. So Jesus took the body, wrapped it in clean, fine linen, and placed it in his new tomb, which he had cut into the rock. He left after rolling a great stone against the entrance of the tomb. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were seated there facing the tomb. The next day, which followed the preparation day, the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered before Pilate and said, Sir, we remember that while this deceiver was still alive, he said, After 3 days I will rise again. So give orders that the tomb be made secure until the 3rd day. Otherwise, his disciples may come steal him and tell the people he has been raised from the dead. And the last deception will be worse than the first. Take guards, Pilate said. Go and make it as secure as you know how. They went and secured the tomb by setting a seal on the stone and placing the guards. Chapter 28. Resurrection Morning. After the Sabbath, as the first day of the week was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to view the tomb. There was a violent earthquake because the angel of the Lord descended from heaven and approached the tomb. He rolled back the stone and was sitting on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothing was like white as snow. The guards were so shaken of fear of him that they became like dead men. The angel told the women, Don't be afraid, because I know you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he has risen, just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, He has risen from the dead, and indeed he is going ahead of you to Galilee. You will see him there. Listen, I have told you. So departing quickly from the tomb, with fear and great joy, they ran to tell his disciples the news. Just then, Jesus met them and said, Greetings. They came up, took hold of his feet, and worshipped him. Then Jesus told them, Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to leave for Galilee, and they will see me there. The soldiers bribed to lie. Verse 11. As they were on their way, some of the guards came into the city and reported to the chief priests everything that had happened. After the priests had assembled with the elders and agreed on a plan, they gave the soldiers a large sum of money and told them, Say this, His disciples came during the night and stole him while we were sleeping. If this reaches the governor's ear, we will deal with him and keep you out of trouble." They took the money and did as they were instructed, and this story has been spread among Jewish people until this day. The Great Commission. The 11 disciples traveled to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had directed them. When they saw him, they worshipped, but some doubted. Jesus came near and said to them, "All authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth. Go before and make disciples, all of nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe everything that I have commanded to you. And remember, I am with you always to the end of the age." You guys, Matthew chapter 28, oh my goodness, was just so amazing. Like, I just felt that radiating throughout my spirit, and I just hope and pray that, it reaches you all who watches this too, because just reading it just made me feel so great. And I now know that that's the reason why God wanted me to read the 4 Gospels of the Bible. And if God has put it on your spirit to read anything out of the Bible, go ahead and do that. Pray to God first and ask him, where is it that he is leading you? And if he's leading you on the 4 Gospels of the Bible, not let me know, but I would say let me know, but just follow along with me, because after I get done with The Power of a Praying Wife, which I have been led to read this as well and share this with my audience, we are going to pick back up on Mark. Okay, so the 4 Gospels of the Bible is Matthew, Mark, and then you have Luke and John. And these are relatively small books of the Bible, but we are going to continue this and read these together. So I'm just so grateful. I do want to read a little bit that's in the Bible itself, because like I mentioned, just in case you missed it, I am reading from the Tony Evans Study Bible, and this is the Christian Standard Bible version, the CSB version. Can you see that there? And I know it's backwards, so I do apologize. I don't know how to flip the camera to make it the mirror version. But at the end of Matthew chapter 28, it has some application questions. And if you want to jot this down for yourself to read back over and study later, that would be awesome. But it asks 2 questions. What does it mean to make disciples in today's culture? How have you recently invested your time, money, or energy in making disciples? For me, it's YouTube. And this is something, you guys, that I never really just thought that I would be doing. So I'm just so grateful that God has placed this in my spirit to do, because I'm moving in obedience. And a lot of times we run from obedience. We run from what God is calling us to do because it's not the normal. But the normal has gotten me nowhere. So I'm ready to be obedient. But I do want to read this section here. It is within Matthew chapter 25. In my study Bible, it has some questions and answers. And just like the other 2 application questions, if you want to jot these down for later and just read over it for yourself, you can. Feel free to do that. But here are the questions and answers. It says, question: the third servant, steward in the parable of the talents, explains his lack of investment on the misunderstanding that he served a harsh master. And this is between Matthew chapter 25, verses 24 to 25. What are other misconceptions about God that can impact our ability to serve him well and steward our resources for his glory? And it goes on to say with the answer: one misconception about God is that he does not discipline us since we are saved by grace. But grace does not cancel out God's use of corrective measure with his people. We must not allow the biblical truths of God's love and grace to negate the biblical truth that Christians sometimes undergo divine chastisement. The author of Hebrews affirmed this: endure suffering as discipline. God is dealing with you as sons. For what son is there that a father does not discipline? And you can find that in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 7. And then it goes on to say, another misconception about God is that he is our beck and call, that he is our divine Santa Claus, merely there to bless us. Yes, God does bless us, but many people want to be blessed without being blessing to others. They want one-sided relationship with God, but God does not exist simply to dole out goodies to us. A final misconception is that I'll mention is that religion is the same as a relationship. Some assume that if they partake in religious activity, then they are in fellowship with God. However, what God wants is a personal relationship. Without personal relationship, religion doesn't mean much to him. And this is my first time reading this, and I want to share how this actually relates to me in my season, where God currently has me. So when I first started this season, you guys, and I'm referring to it as a season because I just feel like God calls you to different things, right? So in this season, I feel like, well, I prayed to God and I asked Him to help me to build a stronger, more foundational relationship with Him. Because I tried things my own way. I tried to do it my own way. And you can't. To be honest, you just can't. You simply can't. So I asked God, what is it that I can do? And it led with fasting. It led with becoming sober minded. And I'm going to share something with you. In this season, I'm very vulnerable. Okay. So bear with me and be forgiving of me because I've already asked for forgiveness with God and I'm sharing this on my channel. I drink. Well, I used to drink. I used to smoke weed. And God delivered me from that. That was something that I prayed to God about, and I asked Him to take the taste of that from my tongue. In the moment that I did that, and actually my mom and my husband can actually testify that too, because I prayed for them as well, and they began to tell me things, and I said, you want to know what I actually prayed to God to help you with that. And they were like, well, we were praying too, but your prayers go straight up. But you guys, oh my goodness, it's so profound and so amazing, like the power that God has when you surrender, when you give your heart to the Lord, when you shift your heart, okay? When you shift your heart and you shift your heart posture and you give yourself to the Lord and you surrender yourself to the Lord, it is no greater feeling. And now that He has me on YouTube sharing this, it's a freeing feel because we hold things so bottled up in our hearts. We hold it bottled up, and Jesus is saying to you, if you just surrender and give it to Him, He died on the cross for us, for your sins. He's not here to be Santa Claus. Build that relationship, okay? So I am going to end it here, you guys. When we come back to the Bible, you guys, we are going to be starting in the book of Mark. The book of Mark, okay? But I'm going to, my bookmark fell, but I'm going to post in my community when we are going to start the power of a praying wife. And as a reminder, I'm going to post a link of this book, which is also can be found in my Amazon storefront. I'm going to post that link in the description of this video, so that way if you want to follow along with me as a praying warrior for your family, a praying wife, and you could be single, reading this, but this is titled Power of a Praying Wife. I'm going to put that link in the description of this video so we can read this together. If you already have it, amazing. That's amazing. But we're going to be reading this, and then I'll also have the power of praying. And I will place that in the description as well. I have to link this one to my Amazon storefront first. So you may not see this right off, but I will link that sometime and give you access to that if you want to purchase that as well, because we will also be going through that together here on YouTube. So I'm just going to give this live to the Lord because I'm doing this for the glory of God. This is for God. And this is for me of building a relationship. It's just amazing. So I pray that you guys have an amazing day today. I am working from home today, so I will be setting up my computers in just a second. And I just pray that God helps me out with my reconciliations. I'm an accountant, so hope he prays. I hope he helps me out. I hope and pray that he helps me out with my reconciliations on today. Every day before I begin work, I always pray and I ask God to help me to be a good steward of my work, because I'm in a season to where I'm really unsettled with my job. I'm really unsettled. It's just some things that has happened, and I'm really praying to God to help me out with those things. So if there's anything that you are struggling with on a daily, if there's anything that you feel that you just want to give to the Lord, do that. Do that now if you want to. Give it to the Lord. Whatever it is, surrender it to the Lord, because you tried it your way. Now give it to the Lord. All right, you guys, this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be exceedingly glad in it. All right, you guys, so this is the end of the live. If you guys couldn't catch it on the live, for the ones who would catch it on the replay, thank you so much for tuning into my channel. You guys have a blessed and amazing day. Bye, loves.